Sometimes the first sign that Allah is preparing something big for you appears in the form of unexpected difficulties. Life suddenly feels heavier than before. Problems arrive one after another. Plans fail despite sincere effort, and situations become confusing even though you are trying your best to do what is right. At first, it may seem like everything is going wrong, but in reality, this phase often marks the beginning of spiritual elevation. Allah tests those whom He loves, not to break them, but to strengthen them for responsibilities and blessings they are not yet ready to carry. Human beings naturally associate ease with success and hardship with failure, yet divine wisdom works differently. Ease can sometimes make a person complacent, while hardship awakens the heart. When challenges increase, they push a person toward reflection, humility, and deeper connection with Allah. You begin to question your intentions, reassess your priorities, and realize how dependent you truly are on your Creator. The comfort of self-reliance slowly fades, replaced by sincere reliance upon Allah alone. Difficulties also purify the heart. Just as gold is refined through intense heat, a believer is refined through trials. Hidden weaknesses surface, arrogance softens, and patience develops. You learn lessons that comfort could never teach. Through sleepless nights, silent tears, and unanswered questions, Allah is shaping your character. Strength is not built in moments of ease. It is formed when faith survives uncertainty. Every hardship removes something unnecessary from your life, whether it is unhealthy attachments, harmful relationships, or unrealistic expectations. Often during these difficult phases, people feel isolated or misunderstood. Friends may not understand your struggle, opportunities may disappear, and support systems may weaken. This isolation is not abandonment, it is redirection. Allah sometimes removes human dependence so that your heart learns to turn directly to Him. When no door seems open, the door of Allah becomes wider than ever before. You begin speaking to Allah more honestly, more frequently, and more deeply than you ever did during comfortable times. Unexpected hardship also teaches patience in ways no lecture can. Patience is not passive waiting, it is active trust. It means continuing to pray even when answers are delayed, continuing to hope even when circumstances look discouraging. Allah trains believers through delays so that when blessings finally arrive, they are received with gratitude rather than arrogance. Without preparation, sudden success could overwhelm the soul, but through struggle, the heart becomes mature enough to handle greater responsibility. Another hidden blessing within difficulty is emotional growth. Trials teach empathy toward others who suffer. You become kinder, more understanding, and less judgmental because you know what pain feels like. The struggles that once made you question your strength eventually become the very source of your wisdom. Allah uses hardship to transform ordinary experiences into powerful life lessons that later help you guide and support others. Many people only recognize the purpose of their hardships after time passes. Looking back, they realize that what felt like loss was actually protection. A rejected opportunity prevented a greater harm. A broken relationship saved them from deeper pain. A delayed dream allowed personal growth that made future success meaningful. Allah sees what we cannot see, and His planning operates beyond human understanding. When difficulties increase, it may mean that Allah is rearranging your path towards something far greater than what you initially desired. Faith grows strongest when circumstances challenge it. Anyone can feel grateful when life is easy, but true faith shines when gratitude exists despite hardship. When you continue to trust Allah while facing uncertainty, your spiritual rank rises. Every moment of patience, every sincere prayer, and every tear shed in private becomes part of your preparation. Allah is not ignoring your struggles. He is witnessing your perseverance and shaping your future with precision. Unexpected difficulties also detach you from illusions of control. Humans often believe they can plan every outcome, yet trials remind us that ultimate control belongs to Allah alone. This realization brings humility and peace. Instead of forcing life according to personal expectations, you begin surrendering to divine wisdom. That surrender does not weaken you. It strengthens your heart because you understand that your life is guided by perfect knowledge and mercy. During these challenging periods, growth happens quietly. You may not notice immediate change, but your resilience increases, your faith deepens, and your perspective expands. The person emerging from hardship is rarely the same person who entered it. You become stronger emotionally, wiser spiritually, and more grateful for even the smallest blessings. Allah prepares His servants gradually, allowing them to develop the endurance needed for the blessings ahead. What feels like a stone today may actually be the construction phase of a new chapter. Just as seeds grow underground before appearing above the surface, divine preparation often happens invisibly. The struggle itself becomes evidence that transformation is underway, shaping you into someone capable of carrying responsibilities, opportunities, and blessings that once seemed beyond reach. Another powerful sign that Allah is preparing something big for you is when certain doors begin to close in your life, especially the ones you desperately wanted to remain open. Plans that once seemed perfect suddenly collapse. Opportunities disappear without clear explanation, and relationships or paths you invested your heart in come to an unexpected end. These moments can feel deeply painful because human nature attaches hope to specific outcomes. When those outcomes vanish, it often feels like loss, rejection, or failure. Yet what appears as an ending may actually be divine protection and redirection. People often assume that success means every door opening easily, but sometimes Allah's mercy appears through closed doors. A believer may work hard toward a goal, make sincere dua, and still watch everything fall apart. In that moment, confusion arises. Why would something prayed for so sincerely be taken away? The answer lies in Allah's knowledge of what lies ahead. He sees consequences we cannot foresee, hidden harms we cannot recognize, and future paths we cannot imagine, What feels like deprivation may actually be protection from something that would have damaged your faith, peace, or long-term well-being. Closed doors force a person to release attachment to specific plans. Humans tend to believe they know exactly what is best for them, yet limited understanding shapes those desires. Allah, however, knows the unseen. Sometimes a career opportunity is removed because it would distance you from your purpose. Sometimes a relationship ends because it would eventually bring emotional or spiritual harm. Sometimes a long-awaited dream is delayed because you are not yet prepared for the responsibility that comes with it. When Allah closes as a door, it is never random. It is intentional guidance. The pain of closure often comes from shattered expectations rather than the event itself. You imagined a future, built hopes around it, and emotionally invested in what you thought would bring happiness. When that vision disappears, the heart struggles to accept change. Yet Allah replaces illusions with reality. Closed doors teach surrender, reminding believers that their happiness does not depend on one person, one opportunity, or one specific outcome. True security lies only in Allah's plan. Another wisdom behind closed doors is spiritual detachment. When everything works according to personal plans, it becomes easy to rely solely on effort and forget divine dependence. But when doors close despite effort, the heart turns back toward Allah with sincerity. Dua becomes deeper, prayer becomes deeper, prayers become more focused, and reliance becomes genuine. You begin to understand that success is not created by human control alone, but granted through divine permission. Closed doors also redirect energy toward better opportunities. Many people later discover that what they once begged Allah for would have limited their growth. By removing certain paths, Allah makes space for greater possibilities that align more closely with your purpose. The challenge is that divine replacement rarely happens immediately. There is often a period of uncertainty between closure and new beginnings. This waiting phase strengthens patience and trust, teaching believers to walk forward even when the destination remains unclear. And sometimes Allah closes doors to protect your dignity. A path you chased may have required compromising values, losing self-respect, or sacrificing spiritual stability. By removing that option, Allah preserves your honor even when you cannot yet understand the wisdom behind it. Protection does not always feel gentle. Sometimes Disappointment, closed doors also refine intentions. When something is taken away, you begin questioning why you wanted it so strongly. Was it for recognition, comfort, approval, or true benefit? This reflection purifies intentions and aligns goals with deeper meaning. You learn to seek what brings lasting peace rather than temporary satisfaction. During these moments, faith is tested in subtle ways. It is easy to trust Allah when prayers are answered exactly as expected, but real trust appears when acceptance replaces resistance. Choosing to believe that Allah's decision carries mercy, even while feeling sadness, demonstrates spiritual maturity. Acceptance does not mean absence of pain. It means believing that divine wisdom exists beyond immediate understanding. Closed doors also teach resilience. Each time a path ends, you learn that your value does not decrease because of rejection or failure. Instead, you become emotionally stronger and less dependent on external validation. You realize that one closed opportunity does not define your destiny. Allah's plan is vast, and the end of one chapter often marks preparation for something far greater than what was lost. Over time, believers often look back and recognize patterns of divine guidance. The job you didn't get led you to a better environment. The relationship that ended protected your emotional health. The dream that failed redirected you toward a purpose you never considered. What once felt like heartbreak becomes evidence of Allah's mercy operating quietly in your life. Closed doors create space for transformation. They remove distractions, reshape priorities, and open internal pathways for growth. Instead of moving forward blindly, you begin walking with awareness that Allah actively guides your journey. Each closure becomes an invitation to trust more deeply, to release control, and to believe that what awaits ahead is not a lesser substitute but a carefully chosen blessing prepared specifically for you. Another powerful sign that Allah is preparing something big for you is when you begin to feel detached from worldly things that once held great importance in your life. The attractions, distractions, and ambitions that previously consumed your thoughts slowly lose their grip on your heart. Activities that once felt essential may start to feel empty, and the excitement you used to find in temporary pleasures gradually fades. This change can feel confusing at first because nothing outwardly dramatic may have happened, yet internally something profound is shifting. This detachment is not sadness or loss of motivation, it is spiritual awakening. Allah gently redirects the heart away from temporary attachments toward eternal purpose. When Allah wants to elevate someone, He often changes what satisfies their soul. The heart begins searching for deeper meaning rather than superficial enjoyment. Conversations about faith become more appealing than gossip. Moments of solitude feel comforting rather than lonely. And acts of worship start bringing a peace that worldly achievements never fully provided. Worldly life is filled with distractions that easily capture attention. Success, status, material comfort, and social approval often become measures of self-worth. However, when Allah prepares someone for something greater, He removes excessive attachment to these temporary measures. You may notice that approval from people matters less than it once did. The desire to impress others weakens, replaced by a quiet desire to please Allah alone. This shift reflects spiritual maturity, where intentions become purified and actions gain sincerity. Detachment also brings clarity. When the noise of constant comparison fades, you begin understanding yourself more whole. Honestly, you recognize which pursuits truly align with your values and which were driven by pressure or imitation. Many people spend years chasing goals that society defines as success, only to realize they never brought inner peace. Allah's preparation removes illusions so that your future blessings rest upon authenticity actions. During this phase, solitude often becomes meaningful. Instead of fearing time alone, you begin appreciating moments of reflection. Silence allows you to hear your own thoughts and reconnect with your spiritual identity. You may find yourself making more dua, engaging in dhikr more frequently, or feeling emotionally moved during prayer. These experiences signal that the heart is becoming alive with remembrance of Allah. Spiritual connection starts replacing worldly distraction as the primary source of comfort. Detachment from worldly things does not mean abandoning responsibilities or rejecting life's blessings. Islam encourages balance, gratitude, and engagement with the world. The difference lies in attachment of the heart. You continue working, striving, and interacting with life, but your happiness no longer depends entirely on outcomes. Success becomes a blessing rather than a necessity for self-worth. Loss becomes easier to bear because your heart is anchored in something permanent rather than temporary. Another aspect of this detachment is emotional purification. Jealousy, excessive competition, and constant comparison begin to lose their influence. You may feel less interested in competing with others and more focused on personal growth and spiritual progress. Instead of measuring life through material gain, you begin valuing peace, sincerity, and inner stability. Allah prepares hearts for greater responsibilities by freeing them from distractions that could corrupt intentions later. The stage often includes a growing awareness of time and purpose. You become more conscious of how you spend your days, realizing that life is temporary and meaningful actions matter more than fleeting entertainment. Small acts of kindness, charity, and worship begin to feel deeply fulfilling. The heart experiences contentment not because everything is perfect, but because it feels aligned with divine purpose. Detachment can sometimes feel uncomfortable because it separates you from habits or environments that once felt familiar. Certain gatherings may no longer appeal to you. Conversations may feel shallow, and priorities may shift in ways others do not understand. People around you might notice the change and wonder why you seem different. This transformation is part of Allah's preparation, gradually guiding you toward environments and relationships that support spiritual growth. As worldly attachment decreases, reliance on Allah naturally increases. Instead of seeking constant validation from people or circumstances, you turn inward toward faith. Gratitude grows stronger even for small blessings. Difficult moments feel more manageable because your heart trusts that Allah's wisdom governs every situation. The calmness that accompanies this trust becomes one of the most beautiful outcomes of spiritual detachment. Many believers describe this phase as finding peace without fully understanding why. External circumstances may remain challenging, yet internally there is stability. The heart feels lighter because it no longer carries the burden of unrealistic expectations or endless comparison. This inner peace reflects alignment with divine guidance as Allah prepares you to receive blessings with humility and gratitude rather than attachment and pride. Through detachment, Allah teaches that true fulfillment does not come from possessing more, but from needing less. The heart becomes spa, case capable of gratitude, patience, and deeper faith. When worldly distractions lose dominance, spiritual awareness expands, allowing you to recognize blessings that were previously overlooked. This transformation prepares you emotionally and spiritually to handle greater opportunities, responsibilities, and moments of elevation with wisdom, sincerity, and unwavering trust in Allah's plan. Another clear sign that Allah is preparing something big for you is the sudden and strong urge to change yourself. Without external pressure, lectures, or reminders from others, you begin feeling an internal desire to improve your character, habits, and relationship with Allah. This transformation does not come from fear alone, but from awareness. It feels as though your heart has awakened, recognizing that growth is necessary for the next stage of your life. Personal change often begins quietly. You may start noticing behaviors you once ignored. Habits that previously felt normal begin to trouble your conscience. Words you speak, actions you take, and choices you make become subjects of reflection. This self-awareness is a gift from Allah because true transformation starts when a person becomes honest with themselves. Instead of blaming circumstances or other people, you begin focusing on self-improvement. The urge to change is often accompanied by repentance. You may feel a sincere desire to seek forgiveness for past mistakes, even those long forgotten. Memories of previous actions return not to shame you, but to guide you toward purification. Allah opens the door of tawbah when He intends goodness for someone. Feeling regret over sins is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of spiritual life. Returning to the heart. It is a sign of spiritual life. During this phase, acts of worship may start feeling different. Prayer becomes less of an obligation and more of a refuge. You may find yourself wanting to pray on time, recite Quran more often, or engage in remembrance of Allah throughout the day. These changes often happen naturally rather than through forced discipline. It is as if Allah gently pulls your heart closer to Him, preparing you spiritually before granting worldly or personal blessings. Self-improvement also extends to character. You begin wanting to control anger, speak kindly, forgive others, and avoid negativity. Situations that once triggered strong emotional reactions no longer hold the same power. You become more patient with people, more understanding of differences, and more careful with your words. This refinement of character reflects inner growth because Allah prepares individuals internally before elevating them externally. The desire for change may also lead you to reevaluate your environment. Certain influences, friendships, or activities may no longer align with your evolving mindset. You may feel the need to distance yourself from negativity or from habits that distract you from personal growth. This process can feel uncomfortable because change often requires leaving familiar patterns behind. However, Allah removes what hinders progress so that your surroundings support the person you are becoming. Another aspect of this transformation is increased discipline. You may feel motivated to organize your life, manage time better, or pursue goals with greater purpose. Laziness gradually loses its appeal as you recognize the value of productivity and meaningful action. This motivation is not merely ambition, it is alignment between your intentions and your responsibilities. Allah prepares people for greater opportunities by strengthening their ability to handle them responsibly. The urge to change also brings emotional maturity. Instead of reacting impulsively, you begin responding thoughtfully. You learn to pause before speaking, reflect before judging, and forgive rather than hold resentment. Emotional growth allows you to navigate challenges with wisdom rather than frustration. This maturity becomes essential for future blessings because greater opportunities often come with greater tests. Sometimes this transformation includes a renewed sense of purpose. You begin questioning why you are here, what legacy you want to leave, and how your actions impact others. Life shifts from simply existing to living intentionally. Small decisions gain meaning because you understand that every action contributes to your spiritual journey. Allah prepares individuals for meaningful roles by awakening their sense of responsibility toward themselves and others. Change can also bring moments of struggle. Old habits resist replacement and progress may feel slow. There may be days when motivation weakens or doubts arise. Yet even these struggles are part of preparation. Growth is rarely immediate. It unfolds through consistent effort and sincere intention. Each attempt to improve, even if imperfect, strengthens your connection with Allah and reinforces your commitment to becoming better. The most beautiful aspect of this internal transformation is that it often happens before visible blessings arrive. Allah reshapes the heart first because external success without internal readiness can lead to arrogance or loss of direction. By nurturing humility, sincerity, and discipline within you, Allah ensures that future opportunities become sources of gratitude rather than distraction. As you continue changing, you may notice increased self-respect and inner confidence. This confidence does not come from superiority over others, but from alignment with your values and faith. You begin trusting your decisions more because they are guided by conscience and spiritual awareness rather than external approval. The urge to change yourself is one of the clearest indications that Allah is preparing you for something greater, guiding you step by step toward becoming the person capable of carrying the blessings, responsibilities, and purpose that lie ahead with sincerity, strength, and purpose that lie ahead with sincerity, strength, and unwavering faith in His wisdom and timing. Another meaningful sign that Allah is preparing something big for you is when you experience continuous delays despite sincere effort. You work hard, make plans, pray consistently, and try to move forward, yet results do not appear as quickly as expected. Opportunities seem just out of reach, progress feels slower than others around you, and dreams remain postponed even though you're doing everything within your power. These delays can be emotionally exhausting because human beings naturally expect effort to produce immediate outcomes. However, divine timing operates beyond human impatience. Delays often feel like denial, but they are rarely rejection. Allah may withhold something not because it is bad for you, but because the timing is not yet perfect. A blessing given too early can become a burden rather than a gift. Without proper preparation, success might overwhelm your character, relationships, or faith. Through delay, Allah aligns circumstances, people, and personal growth so that when the blessing arrives, it brings stability instead of chaos. One of the greatest lessons hidden in delay is patience. Patience is not simply waiting without action. It is maintaining hope while continuing effort. When results are postponed, believers learn perseverance. When results are postponed, believers learn perseverance. You continue striving even when motivation weakens, trusting that your effort is seen by Allah, even if outcomes remain unseen. Every moment of patience strengthens faith because it shifts reliance from visible results to trust in divine wisdom. Delays also refine intentions. When success takes longer than expected, you begin asking yourself why you truly want something. Is it for recognition, validation, or genuine benefit? Extended waiting purifies motives, removing ego-driven desires and replacing them with sincere intentions. Allah prepares hearts to receive blessings with humility rather than pride, ensuring that success strengthens faith instead of weakening it. Another wisdom behind delay is personal development. While you wait for external change, internal growth quietly takes place. Skills improve, emotional resilience increases, and understanding deepens. You become more capable than you were when you first desired the blessing. Often people later realize they were not ready earlier, even though they believed they were. The waiting period becomes a training phase where Allah shapes character, discipline, and wisdom. Delays also protect believers from hidden harm. What appears perfect today may contain unseen difficulties tomorrow. A postponed opportunity may prevent stress, failure, or regret that would have occurred if granted immediately. Allah's knowledge encompasses every possible outcome, while human understanding remains limited to present emotions. Trusting divine delay requires believing that Allah's awareness of the future surpasses personal expectations. During periods of delay, comparison becomes one of the greatest challenges. Watching others achieve milestones while your own goals remain pending can create frustration or self-doubt. You may question your abilities or wonder if you are falling behind. Yet every person's journey unfolds according to a unique divine timeline. Comparing chapters of different lives only increases dissatisfaction. Allah gives each individual what they need at the moment best suited for their growth. Delay strengthens reliance on Allah rather than outcomes. When success arrives quickly, people may attribute it solely to their effort. When progress takes time, believers recognize how deeply they depend on divine permission. Dua becomes more sincere because hope is placed entirely in Allah's hands. This reliance transforms the relationship between servant and creator, making faith more personal and meaningful. Another hidden blessing of delay is gratitude. When something long awaited finally arrives, appreciation becomes deeper. You recognize the value of what you receive because you experience the struggle of waiting. Immediate success can sometimes be taken for granted, but delayed blessings carry emotional weight and lasting appreciation. Allah allows anticipation to grow so that gratitude becomes natural rather than forced. Delays also teach emotional balance. Instead of tying happiness solely to achievement, you learn to find peace within the journey itself. Life becomes less about rushing toward outcomes and more about growing through experiences. You begin valuing progress rather than perfection, understanding that every step forward carries significance even if the final destination remains distant. The waiting period often strengthens resilience against future challenges. When you survive uncertainty and continue moving forward despite delays, you develop confidence in your ability to endure hardship. This resilience becomes essential when greater responsibilities arrive. Allah prepares individuals to handle future blessings by first teaching them endurance during seasons of waiting. Sometimes delay redirects dreams entirely. While waiting for one door to open, new opportunities appear that align more closely with your purpose. What you once viewed as an obstacle becomes a turning point leading toward unexpected success. Allah's plan unfolds gradually, revealing wisdom step by step rather than all at once. Even though delay can feel heavy, it carries mercy within it. Every unanswered prayer is still heard, every effort is still recorded, and every moment of patience contributes to spiritual elevation. The absence of immediate results does not mean your path lacks progress. Growth continues quietly beneath the surface, preparing you emotionally, spiritually, and mentally for blessings that require readiness, maturity, and unwavering trust in Allah. Perfect timing, another powerful sign that Allah is preparing something big for you, is an increased dependence on Him. You begin to notice a shift within yourself where reliance on people, circumstances, or personal strength slowly decreases, and your heart naturally turns toward Allah for guidance, comfort, and solutions. This transformation often happens during moments when worldly support feels limited or unreliable. Situations arise where human help cannot fully solve your problems, and you realize that true strength comes only from connecting with your Creator. Dependence on Allah grows strongest when life exposes human limitations. There may be times when advice from others no longer satisfies your heart, achievements fail to bring lasting peace, or carefully planned solutions do not work as expected. These experiences are not meant to create despair, but to redirect your trust. Allah gently teaches that while people and resources are blessings, they are not the ultimate source of relief. When reliance shifts from creation to the Creator, faith becomes deeper and more sincere. You may find yourself making more dua than before. Conversations with Allah become frequent, honest, and personal. Instead of turning immediately to people during hardship, your first instinct becomes raising your hands in prayer. This change reflects spiritual closeness because dua is an expression of trust. It shows recognition that Allah listens, understands, and controls outcomes beyond human ability. The heart beguiled. Ends to feel comfort simply by speaking to Him even before circumstances change. Increased dependence on Allah also brings humility. Human beings often feel confident when life is stable, believing they control their success through effort alone. However, challenges remind us how fragile control truly is. When reliance on Allah strengthens, arrogance fades. You recognize that every blessing, health, opportunities, relationship, and peace is granted through divine mercy. Gratitude grows naturally because you understand that nothing exists without Allah's permission. Another sign of growing reliance is increased remembrance of Allah throughout daily life. You may begin saying words of dhikr more often, seeking forgiveness regularly, or pausing during busy moments to reconnect spiritually. These small acts transform ordinary routines into acts of worship. The heart becomes conscious of Allah not only during difficulty but also during moments of ease. This awareness brings stability because your emotional state becomes less dependent on external circumstances. Trusting Allah also changes how you approach uncertainty. Instead of overwhelming anxiety about the future, a sense of calm begins to develop. You still plan and work hard, but fear loses its dominance. You understand that outcomes rest with Allah, allowing you to focus on effort without becoming consumed by worry. This balance between action and trust reflects true tawakkul, where a believer strives sincerely while leaving results to divine wisdom. Dependence on Allah often grows through vulnerability. There may be nights filled with silent prayers, moments of weakness where tears flow without witnesses, or private struggles known only to Allah. These vulnerable moments strengthen spiritual intimacy. When you realize that Allah understands your unspoken fears and hidden hopes, the relationship becomes deeply personal. Faith moves beyond routine practice and becomes a living connection guiding every aspect of life. Another transformation that occurs is reduced fear of people's opinions. As reliance on Allah increases, the need for constant approval weakens. As reliance on Allah increases, the need for constant approval weakens. Decisions become guided by conscience and faith rather than social pressure. You begin prioritizing what pleases Allah over what satisfies expectations of others. This freedom brings inner confidence because your sense of worth no longer depends on external validation. Increased dependence on Allah also reshapes how you view hardships. Instead of seeing difficulties as meaningless suffering, you begin recognizing them as opportunities to draw closer to Him. Challenges become reminders to pray, reflect, and grow spiritually. Even moments of uncertainty carry hidden comfort because you trust that Allah's wisdom operates beyond immediate understanding. Reliance on Allah strengthens patience as well. When outcomes are delayed or situations remain unresolved, you continue believing that Allah's timing carries purpose. Rather than forcing solutions through desperation, you learn to wait with hope. This patience does not remove effort, it removes panic. You act responsibly while maintaining peace in your heart, knowing that Allah manages what lies beyond your control. As dependence deepens, gratitude becomes more consistent. You begin noticing blessings that were previously overlooked, simple moments of peace, protection from harm, or unexpected ease during hardship. Awareness of these blessings strengthens faith and reinforces trust in Allah's care. Life feels less random because you recognize divine guidance present in both ease and difficulty. Over time, reliance on Allah becomes a source of emotional strength. Situations that once caused overwhelming stress feel manageable because your heart rests in trust. You understand that no problem is too complex for Allah's power and no prayer is too small for His attention. This confidence allows you to face life with courage rather than fear. When Allah prepares someone for greater blessings, He first anchors their heart in dependence upon Him. External success without spiritual reliance can lead to distraction or arrogance, but a heart connected to Allah remains grounded regardless of circumstances. Through increased reliance, Allah builds inner stability, ensuring that future opportunities, responsibilities, and blessings are carried with sincerity, gratitude, patience, and unwavering faith in His guidance and mercy. Another profound sign that Allah is preparing something big for you is the presence of inner peace during uncertainty. Even when life feels unclear, plans remain unfinished, or the future seems unpredictable, your heart experiences a calmness that cannot be easily explained. External circumstances may still carry challenges, unanswered questions, or ongoing struggles, yet internally there is a quiet assurance that everything will be all right. This tranquility is not the absence of problems, but the presence of trust in Allah's control. Human beings naturally seek certainty. We want clear answers, predictable outcomes, and guarantees about what lies ahead. When life enters a phase of uncertainty, anxiety usually follows because the mind struggles with the unknown. However, when Allah places peace in your heart despite uncertainty, it becomes a powerful spiritual sign. It reflects a heart that has learned to rely on divine wisdom rather than personal understanding. This inner peace often develops after periods of hardship and emotional struggle. You may have experienced worry, disappointment, or confusion before reaching this stage. Gradually, through prayer, patience, and reflection, your heart begins to accept that not every needs immediate explanation. Acceptance replaces resistance, and trust replaces fear. You realize that Allah's plan continues unfolding even when you cannot see the full picture. One of the most beautiful aspects of this peace is that it does not depend on external success. Situations may remain unresolved, goals may still be delayed, and challenges may not disappear overnight. Yet the heart no longer feels restless. Instead of constantly asking, why is this happening? You begin thinking, Allah knows what is best. This shift transforms uncertainty from a source of anxiety into an opportunity for faith. Inner peace during uncertainty also strengthens emotional stability. Problems that once caused overwhelming stress no longer control your reactions. You respond with patience rather than panic, reflection rather than impulsiveness. This calmness allows clearer thinking and wiser decisions because fear no longer dominates your perspective. Allah grants this tranquility to prepare you for responsibilities that require emotional strength and balanced judgment. Another sign of this peace is reduced fear about the future. While planning and ambition remain important, excessive worry fades. You continue working toward your goals, but your happiness no longer depends entirely on specific outcomes. Whether plans succeed or change direction, you trust that Allah will guide you toward what is beneficial. This trust creates resilience because disappointment loses its power to shake your faith. Inner peace also deepens gratitude. You begin appreciating the present moment instead of constantly chasing what comes next. Small blessings become meaningful. Moments of quiet reflection, sincere prayer, supportive relationship, or simple daily comforts. Gratitude grows not because life becomes perfect, but because your perspective changes. You recognize that Allah's care surrounds you even in uncertain seasons. This tranquility often encourages stronger spiritual habits. Prayer feels more focused, remembrance of Allah becomes comforting, and moments of connection during worship feel sincere. The heart no longer approaches faith only during crisis, but maintains closeness with Allah consistently. Spiritual practices become sources of calm rather than obligations, reinforcing the sense that you are guided and protected. Peace during uncertainty also changes how you handle delays and unanswered questions. Instead of forcing solutions or rushing decisions out of fear, you learn to wait with confidence. You understand that clarity will arrive at the right time. This patience allows life to unfold naturally, preventing unnecessary mistakes caused by desperation or haste. Sometimes people around you may not understand this calmness. They might expect anxiety because circumstances appear uncertain from the outside. Yet internally you feel supported by an invisible assurance. This feeling reflects tawakkul, complete trust in Allah's management of your life. It does not mean challenges disappear. It means your heart remains steady regardless of them. Inner peace also protects the heart from negativity. Doubt, jealousy, and constant comparison begin to fade because your focus shifts toward personal growth and spiritual alignment. You become less concerned with competing against others and more committed to fulfilling your own purpose. This emotional independence allows you to move forward without carrying unnecessary burdens created by external expectations. When Allah grants peace before the arrival of blessings, it serves as preparation. A restless heart cannot fully appreciate success, but a peaceful heart receives blessings with gratitude and humility. By calming your heart first, Allah ensures that future opportunities enhance your faith rather than distract you from it. Over time, This tranquility becomes a source of strength during every season of life. Whether facing ease or hardship, your emotional foundation remains stable because it rests upon trust in Allah rather than changing circumstances. You begin to understand that certainty is not found in knowing the future, but in knowing the one who controls it, allowing your heart to remain calm, hopeful, and confident even while walking through paths that have yet to reveal their destination.